Have you ever wondered why some beliefs are embraced while others are brutally suppressed? Throughout history, governments have tried to erase entire religions, labeling them as dangerous cults. But why? What makes a faith so threatening that it must be wiped from existence? Today, we're diving deep into the shadowy history of forbidden religions, exploring the stories of groups that face the full force of state power. From ancient Rome to modern times, this is a journey into faith, fear, and the fight for survival. Let's start our journey in ancient Rome, a place famous for its pantheon of gods, but not all faiths were welcome. One of the earliest and most famous examples of a persecuted religion was, surprisingly, Christianity. In its infancy, Christianity was seen as a strange and secretive cult. The Romans were suspicious. Why did these people refuse to worship the emperor? Why did they meet in secret? Rumors spread like wildfire. Christians were accused of cannibalism, misinterpreting the Eucharist, and all sorts of immoral acts. The Roman state, which valued public order and loyalty above all, saw this new faith as a direct threat. Emperors like Nero and Diocletian launched brutal persecutions, trying to stamp out the movement. Believers were arrested, tortured, and executed in public arenas. But here's the fascinating part. The more they were persecuted, the stronger their faith seemed to grow. It's a classic example of how suppression can sometimes backfire, turning martyrs into symbols of resistance and drawing more people to the cause. The very act of forbidding it made it more powerful. Forward a few centuries, and Christianity is now the dominant power in Europe. But the cycle of suppression didn't end, it just changed targets. Now it was the church and its allied monarchies who were hunting down so-called heretics. One of the most prominent groups was the Cathars in 13th century southern France. The Cathars had a completely different view of the world. They believed in two gods, a good God who created the spiritual realm, and an evil God who created the material world, including our bodies. They saw the physical world as a trap and rejected many core tenets of the Catholic Church, including the authority of the Pope and the sacraments. They lived simple, ascetic lives, which ironically made them quite popular with the common people who were tired of the Church's wealth and corruption. This popularity was a huge threat to the established order. The Pope and the French king couldn't tolerate it. What followed was the Albigensian Crusade, a brutal 20-year war designed to completely annihilate the Cathars. It was a terrifying campaign of kill them all. Entire cities were massacred. By the end, the Cathar faith was effectively erased, its texts burned, and its followers scattered or killed. It's a chilling reminder of how religious and political power can merge to crush dissent. But it's not just an ancient or medieval phenomenon. Let's jump to 19th century America, a nation founded on the principle of religious freedom. Even here, new religious movements faced intense hostility. Take the Mormons, or the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. When Joseph Smith published the Book of Mormon in 1830, his new faith grew rapidly. But their unique beliefs, like polygamy at the time, and their tight-knit, economically successful communities, bred suspicion and jealousy. Wherever they settled, from New York to Ohio to Missouri, they were met with mob violence and persecution. The governor of Missouri even issued an extermination order, making it legal to drive Mormons from the state by any means necessary. This forced them on a grueling trek across the country, eventually leading them to establish Salt Lake City in the desolate Utah Territory. It was a desperate bid to find a place where they could practice their faith in peace, far from the reach of a hostile government and public. Their story shows how, even in a free society, fear of the other can lead to violent suppression. Let's cross the Pacific to China, where the relationship between the state and spiritual groups has always been complex. In the mid-19th century, China was rocked by the Taiping Rebellion, one of the deadliest conflicts in human history. It was led by a man named Hong Xiuquan, who, after failing his civil service exams, had a vision that he was the younger brother of Jesus Christ, sent to Earth to establish a heavenly kingdom of great peace. His movement blended Christian ideas with ancient Chinese traditions and a radical social agenda, including land redistribution and gender equality. This message resonated with millions of peasants suffering under the Qing dynasty. At its peak, the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom controlled a huge portion of southern China. The Qing government, seeing this as a direct existential threat, launched a massive war to crush them. The conflict lasted 14 years and resulted in an estimated 20 million deaths. The government's goal wasn't just to win a war. It was to completely eradicate the typing ideology, destroying its texts and symbols, ensuring it could never rise again. And this pattern continues into the modern era. Think of the Branch Davidians in Waco, Texas, in 1993. The group, led by David Koresh, was a small offshoot of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. They lived communally and studied their leaders' interpretation of biblical prophecy. The government became concerned about reports of illegal firearms and allegations of abuse. This led to a raid by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, which ended in a deadly shootout and a 51-day siege. The world watched in horror as the standoff culminated in a fiery inferno that killed 76 people, including many children. To this day, the event is fiercely debated. Was it a necessary law enforcement action against a dangerous cult, or a tragic case of government overreach and misunderstanding? The Waco siege became a powerful symbol for those who distrust government power, showing how a confrontation between a small, unconventional religious group and the state can escalate into a national tragedy. So what do all these stories have in common? Whether it's Christians in Rome, Cathars in France, or Mormons in America, these groups were seen as a threat to the established social, political, or religious order. They challenged authority, offered a different way of life, and often created strong, independent communities. And that made them dangerous in the eyes of those in power. Governments often use the label cult to delegitimize a group, painting them as brainwashed, dangerous, and unworthy of the rights afforded to real religions. This justifies suppression, from surveillance and legal harassment to outright violence and extermination. But as we've seen, trying to erase a belief system is incredibly difficult. Sometimes persecution only strengthens a group's resolve and attracts new followers. The history of forbidden religions is a testament to the enduring power of human faith and the deep-seated fear of the unknown. It forces us to ask tough questions about where we draw the line between a religion and a cult, and what price we're willing to pay for social order. Thanks for joining me on this journey through the history of forbidden faiths. It's a complex and often dark topic, but one that reveals so much about power, control, and the human spirit. What do you think? Are there other groups you think we should have covered? Let me know in the comments below. If you found this exploration fascinating, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the hidden corners of history. See you next time.